Damien, Malinda, thanks so much for agreeing to sit down with me. So both longtime sterile processing professionals, and you guys have agreed to share a little bit about your career path, your involvement with AAMI and with standards development for the benefit of the larger community, both sterile processing and HTM and other members of the healthcare community. So, Malinda, why don't you kick us off? Introduce yourself and tell us a little about you.
Okay. So, my name is Malinda Elammari. I work for Healthmark Industries. I am the clinical education specialist. I started my career in the medical field as a surgical technologist. Specialized in open heart surgery, worked as a surgical tech for probably almost 9 years, and then transitioned into the sterile processing department and field with a change of jobs. So, been a long journey, but finally got to a place that I can honestly say I love my job.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah.
Not everyone can say that.
No, they can't. I am lucky.
That's great. Damien, what about you?
Well, I'll start where she ended. I love my job as well.
There you go.
So I'm Damien Berg. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives for HSPA, the Healthcare Sterile Processing Association, formerly known as ISHM. Different name, different story, but
Better acronym.
Better
I like it a lot
acronym,
better.
yeah. But I've been doing that for a little over a year now, and my job really is to carry the objectives and the strategic plan of our large national, international organization to our members on the front line. But before that, I was a sterile processing director, manager, technician, educator, all the roles you could possibly happen in sterile processing. And prior to that, I was in the military for 21 years as a scrub tech as well too, and a sterile processing tech and a combat medic. So I've kind of bridged the background of the frontline worker to the educator, to the trainer, to the manager, now to this executive role representing our organization and being part of the AAMI community for 17 years now. So.
17 years. And Malinda, how long have you been familiar with and involved with AAMI?
Oh, with AAMI, I didn't even think about that. I gotta get over 7 years now. So,
Okay.
Yeah, over 7 years.
Getting up long enough that you're not counting every year
I know.
now.
I'm like, hey, how long has it been? I
And
don't even know how old I am.
using
half the
AAMI
time.
standards,
Yeah.
career throughout your career, I assume, as a tool, so familiar in that way. So, to the degree they were available, right?
Well,
because that's something that's changed.
That's a great question. That's exactly why I joined. So in 2005, 2006, I was building a new hospital. And that's when ST79 just came out in 2006. And so I'm reading ST79 going, okay, I need to apply this. And I'm like, I need to be part of this. So I'm going to go to DC and I'm going to help educate them on what the real world's like. Well, that's how I got involved in the standards. And I got here and I fell in love with the process and the passion and the people, honestly, that are here from across the industry. And I've never missed a meeting since.
Wow.
Using those standards. And I still use the AAMI standards almost daily. There's not an email or phone call that I don't get daily about something to do with the standards.
Something about applying the standards. And so you got involved in development because you were an end user.
Yeah.
You saw a need to improve the product, possibly the standards, or for new standards to be developed. It saw that need, and I think a lot of people don't understand that's where new work orders come from. We call them work orders internally, or work items. Sorry, members, participants saying we need a standard in this area. So say a little bit about the growth in standards. I mean, we're looking at, you mentioned ST79. There's a lot of work going on around water quality, et cetera. There's sort of been, I don't want to say an explosion, I don't want to exaggerate it, but a proliferation of standards for this community in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing a growth. I think for me, when I first started my career in sterile processing, I would hear about standards, but I didn't really understand or know what it was. Nobody around me really did. And so I started going like, who is Amy? Like, I'm like, who is she? And why is she telling me what to do,
Right.
And so just learning more and expanding my knowledge, joining Amy and getting on board and trying to understand where everything is coming from and the background behind it. But now getting on board, I started with ST79, and now I'm like on 9 different committees and stuff because there's just been so much, and I'm like, oh, I need to get on that. Oh, I want to be a part of this. We got like standards growth, and we have from EO to chemical sterilants, and then we got ISO level standards and stuff like that. It's just been amazing, and the growth. We got TIRs coming out, for TIR for transportation, and ultrasound probes, which is a huge need in our industry in our community. So, and there's just, every time we go to a meeting, they're like, you know what, we need this for this. And we're like, yeah, we do, So there's so much growth and so much more to come. It's exciting, really.
Right, it's not going to slow down.
I'm a dork like that, so I'm like,
And people, I don't know if people find this pursuit or it finds them, but we've had a number of conversations where people said, well, I got involved in this, I didn't know it. Turned out I love it. Like this is, I mean, they just can't get enough of it. And so part of that is the work, right? Part of it is the chance to make a difference by helping to define these standards in these areas of concern or opportunity. Part of it I've heard from folks is the networking, the peer interactions that you have. So we keep referencing these meetings. So say a bit about that. Who's in these meetings? Who are you getting to interact with? Who's at the table?
Yeah, us, no. It is, and I get asked that question a lot. And there's some, I would say, not controversy, but some questions like, are the proper people there representing? And I can truly say it is. It is a good slice of the community, from industry professionals, people who make the medical devices that we are trying to talk to, manufacturers, yes, as well as regulatory folks. We have our FDA friends here, Joint Commission, ADA, the other type of those, plus associations, and then most importantly, the end users. There is more end users now participating, especially virtually, but also live in person, than I've ever seen in my years here. And they're giving that end user perspective. And that what I can say is we have great, robust conversations. And at the end of the day, if it's an end user document, something impacting a patient, the committees really go, end users, what does that mean to you?
Right.
What's your take? If you had to go back to your hospital and explain that, could you? And that's a valuable thing. We also, the networking afterwards, it's not just, it doesn't end here. We have many task groups, like she said, that we meet throughout the year virtually. And then we bring stuff to the ISO level. And I mean, I've been lucky to be on ISO committees. And plus, we just make lifelong friends and people, what I call phono friends, that we can call that are across all
Build your
spectrums.
expert network. Really.
Absolutely, because it's not necessarily what you know, it is all the network that you know, the who you know, that really can help you in your profession, but also your professional life.
I mean, how many people can say, oh yeah, I can pick up the phone and call Damien and ask him a question, or I can pick up the phone and call somebody from FDA, or pick up the phone and I have a connection to EPA. Like, not many people get that opportunity, and having become part of this community, and it's just, that's opened so many doors and so many avenues with networking and just also learning the different aspects, because it's so easy for, when I joined, I was representing the facility I worked for, and it was so easy as an end user to be like, what's wrong with these people? Why can't they get their stuff together, right? Like, why are you putting this in a standard? I can't do this, and why do I have to do this, right? But then when you're in these meetings and you're hearing from EPA's perspective, well, this is why we have to do this, because this is protecting our environment, and this is why we do that, and FDA. And on the other side of that, I always tell this story. My first day, it can be kind of intimidating, right? Because you sit at this table and you're like, all these people are sitting there, and you're like, me as an end user, what am I going to tell these people that they don't know? I'm like, I mean, there are some brilliant minds at this table. And then you're like, they are brilliant minds, but they don't know your side and what you do on a daily basis. And so realizing that and being able to speak to that was huge for the group, and started making an impact. At the first day, I just sat there and just listened to everybody and was like, I am way out of my league here. I was like, I don't know what to do. The second day, I just couldn't shut up. I was like, oh wait, hold on. And then Seth Hendy from Healthmark was the first one who came up to me. He's like, keep it up, don't stop. He's like, you're doing great. And that encouragement just kept me going. And and then it was just like, oh, I started making friends with everybody, and just changed the whole dynamic of it. So you start seeing it from a different perspective.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic. And I think for folks that are out there on the fence, thanks for sharing that story, because it can be a little intimidating. It sounds like a lot, and it is. Yeah. People, once again, it finds them, and before you know it, that's what you spend a lot of your career on. But in the beginning, you can start with one committee, one work group, and contribute where you feel you can, and you'll quickly, I think, go through the experience you did, which said, wait a minute, I have a lot to contribute here because I'm the one doing the work.
Then you get to the point where you're like, I really want to be on that, but I can't do it. I just can't. I got to stop.
You have a day job.
Yeah, my recommendations, and I had the same, I think most end users that I talked to throughout the years, And I forget, I've got a little more seniority than the average end user here, so I forget that because I still feel like I'm the newbie sometimes, because I'm in the meetings and I still am humbled by the people there, but we all have that perspective. And what I say is don't be scared of it. Come join, participate virtually. That is going to be something that's probably going to be an option forever. But also when you come, you're bringing a unique perspective that is, like she said, that is yours, but also standards, which is unique. What I love is you're putting on a different hat. You're representing not just your facility or your place or your experience, you're bringing that to the table, but you're writing a standard for everybody, or you're helping write a standard for everybody, and that's a different perspective. You're not writing it for my facility. So when I first got here, I was like, my facility, my policies, my procedures I need help with. It's bigger than that. And that, once you kind of put that hat on, you're like, oh wow, okay, that's a very unique point. But bring the real world out there to that, and then that's that sweet spot.
Fantastic. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there, because you guys have certainly made a great case for getting involved with Amy, getting involved with standards, and I just want to say thank you for all you do, because you guys are out there supporting, either are at the tip of the spear or supporting the folks at the tip of the spear and making healthcare safer. So thanks to both of you, and I'll see you at next Amy Standard Sterilization Week, if not sooner.
I'll be there, Robert. Thank you very much, and
Thank you both.
Well, thank you.